Hello and welcome to Freedom Through Astrology, where we're giving you the keys. And as you can see, my camera is still messed up, so I'm going to minimize that. I do apologize for my voice. This is my third cup, I think, of throat coat. It has not been pleasant. Um, this is freedomthroughastrology.com. I am your astrologer, Donald Patak. There's my contact information, standard YouTube copyright. Keys to the reading. I read constellation-based astrology, sometimes called true sidereal. It's astrology by the visible sky. The original astrologers were astronomers, and I read the planets where they were actually in the sky. So I am returning to original astrology, or my understanding of it. And with that, when you're working with the zodiac belt, you have 13 signs instead of 12. Between Scorpio and Sagittarius, there's the sign of Ophiuchus. It's the wounded healer. The symbol is of a person holding a snake by the head and the tail. In ancient times, the snake symbolized knowledge. So when you're holding it by the head and the tail, it means control or use of knowledge. And the stories and the mythos are that the knowledge was used to heal. So it's where you learn to heal yourself so you can heal others with similar wounds. I'm using the natural size of the constellations because Mother Nature, in her wisdom, made them all different sizes. Virgo is huge at just under 50 degrees. Libra, Scorpio, Ophiuchus, all individually are 25 degrees or less than that. They're much smaller. So I allow the constellations to be the natural sizes that they are in the sky. And I use astrological midpoints because the IAU boundaries are arbitrarily drawn. Athan Shimenti, in his work, shows that there are stars from the constellation Scorpio with the name Scorpius in over the IAU boundary for Ophiuchus. Shouldn't be that way. So he looked at the zodiac belt, last bright star of constellation A, first bright star constellation B was the midpoint, and he went with that. I think it's a little bit more accurate. Keys to the reading, part 2. I interpret using evolutionary astrology, which are lessons to learn. You are fated to face these transits. You have freedom of choice in how you will respond or react to them. This is the weekly edition. These are the universal lessons. So have some compassion on your fellow Earth travelers. We're all going to respond or react to these transits differently. Dates and times are based on the Eastern US time zone, as I do live outside of Buffalo, New York. I'm operating within 1 degree of exact. If I went further than that, I get overwhelmed, ear lost. And the software that I'm using is Capricorn by Prometheus. So these are the weekly transits for the week of November 24th through 30th. Take whatever this is. The sun is in Scorpio, so you're looking within yourself more deeply. Heraclitus said, I looked into myself. So this is about, in a way, keeping it clean, self-exploration. You're really pulling back your own curtain and looking to see who you really are. The moon begins in Sagittarius and will move through to Pisces this week. So we have a relatively slow and steady moon this week, which is nice, bit of stability. We do have the first quarter moon in Aquarius on November 28th at 4:17 a.m. I will talk about that. And we do have a sign change. Mars enters Ophiuchus, and that will happen on the 25th. The active planet for the week actually is Venus. It shouldn't be planets. The active planet of the week is Venus, relationships. And the outer planets, we still are having that Jupiter and Uranus long transits. The outer planets, when they transit, they do it slow and steady because they're very important lessons to learn. Station direct this week. Mercury and Saturn both move direct, so they'll be pausing before moving forward. So you might feel a little stuck mentally. You might feel a little stuck in your, growth or maturity. That's fine. Take a coffee break. And our retrograde parade, therefore, is a little bit shorter. We have Jupiter, opportunity, Uranus, individuality, Neptune, spirituality, or presence, and Chiron, the ability to heal. All are retrograde, times of reflection and inner work. So this is our week in a graphic overview, and the energies actually are pretty steady when you look at it. A little bit more intense Thursday on because of the station directs that we have here and the first quarter moon. But otherwise, our transits are fairly steady, and they're not too heavy there. Anything above the line is from last week. When we do look at the moon, you can see it's like you get 2 days change, 2 days change, 2 days change. So the moon is actually relatively stable, and emotionally, which is good. From last week, we are finishing up that Mars in a T square. We'll share about that. And we do have our 2 long transits right here. And in the new week, like I said, Abby, you can see Venus here, Venus here, Venus also being aspected here. So Venus, relationships, your ability to relate to other people, also creativity and the arts, music and the other creative, physical arts, etc. Very important this week will be highlighted. Interesting. Thursday this week is Thanksgiving in the United States, and we have a lot of family get-togethers. Mercury retrograde will be after. We'll be getting over after that. So do bide your time with that. And you can see this 2 station directs here. Hold on. And on Tuesday, we do have Mars entering Ophiuchus, the courage to heal. So overall, relatively steady with the transits, but it's a little bit more intense at the end of the week because of the first quarter moon and the 2 station directs. Close out my doodle tool. And our long transit number 1 is, sorry, forgot to open this up. Cats closed it on me. Long transit number 1 is Uranus in Taurus, sextiling Neptune in Pisces. Both of these are retrograde, and Uranus in Taurus is finding the peace of being your authentic self. And that's creating an interest in your ability to be present and spiritual awareness. That's how I'm currently looking at that. So how is being authentic and who you really are helping to deepen your spiritual connections and practices? The shadow here is when you're fake, either acting out or selling out. It's lazy, and it leads to a desire just to escape or numb the pain of life. Kind of like I want to numb the pain of the sore throat, only worse. It can have you feeling isolated, alone, and lost, or stuck in an illusion. We also have Jupiter trining Saturn, again, both retrograde. During this, Saturn will go station direct and be moving forward. So Jupiter in Gemini is the opportunity to learn, and right now you're reflecting on that. Are you taking the opportunities to learn? They're being presented to you. And how is this supporting your spiritual growth and spiritual maturity? Saturn is about maturing, and Pisces, I will say, spirituality. So how is that? I just summed that up right nicely. With it, ideally, this is a support. So what you're learning is helping you to grow and mature. The shadow. Okay, not worried about that cry. The shadow is a crisis of confidence. Jupiter is a crisis of confidence, either overconfident or underconfident in your abilities to learn and communicate. And this is a slippery slope downhill into a spiritual mess. I was looking at this the other day. I thought it was feeding spiritual fundamentalism. Rigid rules about your spirituality and how you practice it. Instead of being something open and free flowing, this can lead it getting micromanaged and controlled, and can fuel feelings of fear and despair. and pessimism and just a desire to numb the pain, try to escape, or you're living in illusions. Okay. This is Mars in Scorpio is having the courage to pull deep and to go deep and to face your deepest fears. And this is square. This strengthens your North Node is your destiny in life. And in Aquarius, it is you making your journey your own. So by having the courage to face your deepest fears, it strengthens your individual destiny. The shadow here is falling into those fears, has you trying to be someone, turning it into something, or something, you turning your destiny into something that it is not. You're either denying it outright and or looking for that cookie cutter mold. Yeah. And we have Sun in Libra and then Scorpio. At this point in time, end of the week, it's in Scorpio. So how is you're looking deeply into yourself, creating an interest in doing that work of deep transformation? And Pluto is regarded as the co-ruler of Scorpio. So this is really amplified. So learning more about and focusing more on who you really are at heart helps to create an interest in doing the deeper transformation and that work of transformation. And it can help you face your unconscious fears better as well. I don't know why that just popped into my mind. It's not in my notes, but I'll deal with it. Collapsing into the false ego has you feeling isolated and fearful, cynical and empty. And focusing on darkness can be hurtful, and especially to yourself. This transit in the shadow can be deeply injurious to your core identity. On Saturday, the moon enters into Sagittarius. So you're looking for new ideas and experiences. And look for opportunities or synchronicities that can heighten your excitements and interests. The shadow here is mindlessly defending the status quo in a self-righteous manner. You can get stuck in boring routines, and nothing can be worse for Sagittarian energy than being stuck in a rut and stuck in a mindless, empty routine. And on Sunday, we have that T-square where we have Mars and Scorpio squaring the South Node in Leo. And again, having the courage to face those deep fears, those inner fears, how is that strengthening your ability to leave behind the pointless drama that holds you back? South Node is how you hold yourself back in life, and in Leo, it's pointless drama. So when you're facing your deepest fears, you're really learning about how you hold yourself back in life with pointless drama. And that's the T-square here, where you're literally caught between a rock and a hard place, your past and your future. And if you successfully navigate this, you leave the pointless drama of the past behind and you move towards a more authentic future. The shadow here is Mars in Scorpio. Instead of facing the fears, succumbs to them. And this becomes kind of strengthening. Squares, instead of strengthening, becomes a crushing burden. And these fears feed the pointless dramas in the past and blow up your ability to move forward in life. And I say blow up, probably not the best way to say that. But it's really this self-sabotages your ability to become more authentic in your purpose in life, as anything can sabotage it and turn it into something that it is not. Okay. Monday, Mercury retrograde is conjunct Venus in Libra. So Mercury, learning communication, joins with Venus. Relationships. Are you paying attention to other people and listening to them? And are you able to understand their perspectives? Reflect on that. What are your relationships with people? How are you communicating with them? How are you learning from them? The shadow here is a person that just talks and never pays attention to other people. Um, I'm a child of the 70s. I grew up with CB. We had a phrase for that person who talks for hours on end, not saying anything, diarrhea of the mouth. I apologize for saying that, but that's what I'm thinking of. But the shadow here is listening to answer instead of understand and ignoring what is being said by the other person. You're not even paying attention to them. You're kind of ignoring them and just talking over them. Or being insincere, trying to avoid problems or conflicts can lead, and this can fuel issues down the road. Tuesday, the moon enters Capricorn. GSD, emotionally, you're ready to get stuff done and do something. And it's there. You're ready for the challenges that you're that are up in front of you, and know that with self-discipline you can meet them and overcome them. The shadow here is that you fall into becoming a control freak, shutting yourself down emotionally, bossing others around, has you feeling isolated and alone. Also on Tuesday, Mars enters Ophiuchus, the courage to heal, because Ophiuchus is teaching you the information you need to know so that you can learn how to heal yourself. I'll look to the house where this falls because that tells you more specifically about the type of wound that you are learning to heal. But Mars is courage and assertiveness. So this is having the courage to heal, but also asserting your right to. And this is not, and the shadow here is falling into fear, and it can be giving that power away to others, or using the knowledge that you're gaining and using it to wound yourself and wound others more deeply. I'm reminded, and I hate to bring this up, but the Nazi death camps in Joseph Mengele. I I mean, this was just an angry man, and I don't know what he was thinking. I don't even want to know. But this is a man who used the knowledge he gained to heal, and he took it out and wounded others horribly. But yeah, but the shadow here is falling into your fears, and wounding yourself more deeply with them, and wounding others. I'm almost thinking that Mercury in Ophiuchus would also be that death camp experience. This is okay. I got to move on from that. Yeah, this is where my mind goes. Tuesday, we also have Venus in Libra trining Jupiter retrograde in Gemini, and this is going to set us up for a grand trine, a Venus triggered grand trine. So you're working with other people, and are you taking the opportunity to learn from them? And how is being around other people, different perspectives, helping to support your ability to learn? The shadow here is trying to manipulate or control others, can create a crisis in confidence, resulting in indecision, nervousness, and sabotage your ability to learn about yourself, learn about other people's, etc. Um, Relationships can be shallow under the circumstances. Relationships can become shallow and superficial. Okay, which kitten is this that just climbed on my lap? Oh, this is Midnight Ankle Biter. Okay, come on, Midnight, lay down. There you go, buddy. This is your kitten commercial, a Midnight Ankle Biter. He's all black. Just lay down on my lap. Um, yeah, the shadow here is being that slick, manipulative control freak, trying to control what other people see. And how does that undermine your ability to learn and create a crisis of confidence in your ability to learn? And on Wednesday, Venus in Libra is trining Saturn retrograde in Pisces. And again, how is working with others and being open to other people, helping to support your spiritual growth and spiritual maturity? And in the shadow here Again, when you're trying to be slick or manipulative of others, this can feel frustrating, lead to pessimism, control issues, fuel feelings of fear, and it can distort situations and create a false perception of what is going on. And it can be based on those deeper fears. And this is creating, okay, let me move my cup a second. This creates a grand trine triggered by Venus. I want to get this thicker. This creates a grand trine. Sorry about my not so straight lines. But as you know, Venus is the planet that triggers this. And ideally, excuse me, what happens when you're working with this, what happens is your ability to gain perspectives from different points supports your ability to learn, and as it's supporting that opportunity to learn, it also supports your spiritual growth and spiritual maturity. The shadow here, that slick manipulative, that lying, leads to rational lies and undermines the opportunity to learn, and that fuels false perceptions of reality and undermines and can create fearful situations or situations that are certainly misunderstood. Sorry about that. Okay. Oops, I gotta clear all this stuff here. Delete. So there we go, and that's Venus triggering that grand trine. And during this, Saturn and Pisces will move station direct. So Saturn is self-discipline, maturity, growth, and recognizing that it's going to be hard work. And as it's moving station direct, this is a time of pause and reflection. Have you been doing the work and of that? Hold on a second. Have you been doing the hard work? Have you been open to the hard work? Reflect on that. And this have you been doing the inner work as well? Reflect on how you've matured spiritually. And that's Pisces. I say Pisces spirituality, higher realms, absolutely. And what types of effort is it going to take you to find growth, and what type of time is going to take? Self-discipline will be the key to success. Saturn and time, yes. And Pisces is either the second or third largest constellation in the sky. So we know that this is going to be a long transit here. And it is going to take time to learn these spiritual skills. I work in the education field. And we do not teach anything about spirituality. We're more right brain stuff or left brain stuff. Pisces is definitely more what I would say is more right brained. So, okay, cat, that's my hand. I don't need you tearing it to pieces. Do that to the mice that get into the house. The shadow here is slipping into fear and despair and a desire to escape the failures of life that you see happening and trying to numb the pain. Growth can seem elusive or of a fantasy. Also, be careful becoming tyrannical or fanatical, or turning yourself into a self-styled murderer. That little snot nicked me really good. So higher self, maturing spiritually, lower self, becoming a fanatic. On Thursday, the moon enters Aquarius. Emotionally, you're up for a little bit of freedom. Time for you just to feel free and be yourself. Let go of other people's opinions of you. Okay, so you're not living up to the family's expectations. So what? Are you being true to yourself? Emotionally, are you being true to who you are? Make choices that feel right to you and embrace your spirituality. Feel what you're really feeling. Ouch. My kitten here seems to think I'm a mouse to be picked on. The shadow here is getting stuck in other people's ideas and surrendering to them. That has you feeling fake, hopeless, bored with life because you're not being who you really are and you're not being true to yourself. Friday morning at 4:17, when some crazy people are going to be waiting in line to go shopping and selling themselves out to the capitalist dreams and capitalist expectations. Those of us who are aware of the Scorpio sun squaring the Aquarius, being squared by the Aquarian moon, will be looking deeply into themselves and asking, why am I out of bed? But yeah, that's my sarcastic take on this. It's kind of perfect to me that the first quarter moon is in Aquarius on Black Friday. The sun in Scorpio, you're looking deeply into who you are. And the square here, the challenge is, are you feeling authentic about that? Are you being true to who you are? Is when you pull back that curtain, are you feeling what you're really feeling? Are you feeling what you're feeling? Is that really true to you? And how is that being a healing experience? And how can this help you? How can that Aquarian moon help you understand who you are on a more deeper level? This is a square, so it is going to be challenging. So yeah, selling yourself out to the capitalist expectations of what Christmas is supposed to be and buying all this stuff. Is that true to who you really are, or is it something else? Like I said, pardon my sarcastic take here, but that's something just to think about. Yes, I took a course on intellectual history, and the teacher had us write about different things from different political perspectives. So, yes, we did cover Marx, but we also did cover libertarianism and capitalism and all those wonderful things. The shadow here is being fake fuels a sour mood, a souring on identity, on who you are. It can feel like a crushing burden. Squares in the shadow are crushing burdens and stumbling blocks. And this, by being fake and not feeling true to yourself, can have you falling into darkness and feeling lost. And in Scorpio, this can be with the sun in Scorpio, this can be a very bitter experience. Also on Friday, Mercury Libra moves station direct cat. I am not your brother for you to wrestle and fight with. Just relax. He is a really good cat, and he's an incredible mouser, I promise. Take a pause here. Last time Mercury was in Libra, were you paying attention to other people? Were you paying attention to the world around you? Were you listening to the different perspectives? And what did you learn from them? Were you open to paradox and ambiguity, and saying, hey, you know what? Everything doesn't have to be, all the I's don't have to be dotted and T's don't have to be crossed at this moment. We can work some things out. And did you learn to pay attention to other perspectives? The shadow here is this mind that is out of control and indecisive. This leads to being confused, or being mentally rigid or defensive can leave you blind and feeling and becoming ignorant of the world around you and the different perspectives that are available. Ouch. Saturday, Venus in Libra is opposite Uranus retrograde in Taurus. So as you're being around other people and you're paying attention, you're open to letting people be who they are. Reflect. Are you being your authentic self with them? Are you being true to who you are, and are you finding the peace and strength that comes from that? The shadow here is being fake with others or slick and manipulative. Leads to a power struggle. You're not being who you are and you're trying to own and control other people. This is going to lead to power struggles, and you can come across as fake and shallow. Your individuality can come across as insincerity, and it's possible to lose peace or be seen as lazy or wishy-washy, or a person that just tries to work with a situation to their own advantage. And also on Saturday, Venus in Libra is trining or supporting Neptune retrograde in Pisces. So as you're being around other people and building relationships with them and understanding it from different perspectives, how is this supporting your spiritual growth and your ability to be present? I think the great lesson of of Neptune in Pisces is just don't do it. Don't do something. Sit there. Be there. How is being around other people helping you to learn just to be with other people and be with them? And how is that also supporting your spiritual growth? What can you learn from being spiritually, from being in relationship with other people? How is this helping you to take your relationships to a deeper level? The shadow, again, Venus is slick and manipulative, can lead to deceptive, living in a fantasy life. Life and people can seem like they're drifting along or in an illusion. Relationships can also seem to be shallow and superficial and empty. Saturday, the moon enters Pisces. It's a time for you to become emotionally inspired and find what inspires you and find new inspiration and a new vision for this moment in time. Look what leads to spiritual growth and feels uplifting. And the shadow here is withdrawing into a fantasy can feel unfulfilling and empty. And on Sunday, we're just working through the last of those other transits. So do work through them. Also remember to take a breath. Remember to exhale and repeat. I apologize for my voice. It hasn't been the greatest. We're not sure what's causing this. It's been killing my ability to teach and work with students, but I'll live with it. I am on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, which is where you're watching this. So do like, follow, and share. I'm also on the digital soul space. I call it the spiritual safe space of the internet, where you can go and ask questions. It's a troll-free zone. We got 4 great moderators. I do astrology. There are other people who do crystals, tarot decks, different oracle cards, a wide variety of spiritual traditions and practices. Very interesting place to hang out. These companies here are making billions of dollars off of your data, and you might get pennies from it. Very few people actually do get rich off of it. Digital Soul Space is hosted on the Mighty Networks. Your data is yours, and you tell them what can be used and how, and if it can be used at all. There is a free version and a paid version. The free version, you get limited access to certain things, to certain portions of it. Paid version, which is only $1.99 a month, which is less than a cup of coffee. You get access to the full site and all the wisdom and companionship, etc., that comes on that site. It's really an interesting place to be. I do have readings, quick 6, if you want to see how your chart changes from tropical to true sidereal. That's a great place to start. Your birth contract is who you came here to become. Your karmic past life reading. Some people believe that previous life they were somebody, they had a previous life, and this reading helps you understand the karma or the trauma that happened in that previous life, how it's manifesting in this life, and how you can heal it. Some people are one and done. I tell you a special lesson that you came here to learn what it is and how you can handle it. I do horoscopes any 12 months in a row, any 3 months in a row, or any 1 month. And that can be new moon to new moon, or the first of the month to the end of the month. And I do have packages at 4 different levels that combine these different readings. So thank you. Like, follow, share, sign up to the newsletter. For the newsletter, if you go to freedomthroughastrology.com, you'll get that pop-up. All I need is an email address. You get 1 letter from me a week, where I give you an overview of these transits. Excuse me. Special deep dive on one transit or more in particular that are happening that week. And if I do special discounts, this is where you'll find them. So thank you very much. Remember, in the visible sky, your life changes. Have the best week possible for people in the United States. Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your time with friends and family.